To the thing, and they lead them down and everything like that. So don't think of a little cute little lamb. Think of a full-grown sheep. That's a male. That's a year old, and they just lead them down, and there you see 54 of them die all at once, which is pretty impressive to see 54 animals die. You know, the sun goes down, and the high priest says, "Now," and then 54 at one time, and there's a trench that goes through the area that they do the sacrifice, and the blood goes down into the trench.
And where do they take the priests take the blood? Or do they just kill them?
Well, they take the blood and they put it on their foreheads, and they put it on. They have hyssop. They have hyssop, and they take it back and put it on their doors. I mean, the Samaritan Passover. I did a film called The Sacrifice. I highly recommend it. It's graphic, but it's graphic on purpose. It's because people don't understand what sacrifice looks like anymore, and so when you see that, I bring it down to a lamb that's actually sacrificed by a Jewish priest. His name is Yehuda Glick. He's the one that got shot. We heard the gunfire from our apartment when he got shot 5 times, and then this was after I filmed him doing this sacrifice, and he lived, and now he's a member of the Knesset. Anyways, when it comes down to that lamb being sacrificed, which you see very graphically, that lamb sacrificed, then I have the audience thinking Jesus, not that lamb in the film is representing Jesus. But they don't tie they just lead them down to the slaughter, which is another image in Isaiah, and then they lay him down, and it's a weird thing. It's like they know what's going on somehow. I don't know how to explain it. And they kind of seem a little bit freaked out, but they also seem like they kind of seem submitted to it somehow. I don't know how to explain it.
Why do they do 54?
Because that's how many families are left in the Samaritans. They do one sheep per family.
And then they eat it.
Is there one particular place that land kept?
They keep them in their house.
Okay.
They keep them in their house as a pet, basically, for 4 days. I mean, I think about going through the Samaritan Passover with my own family. Oh my gosh, man, my kids would have freaked out when they were little. Oh, like your little lamb for 4 days? Are you kidding me? Think about how attached they would be. Then you have to all put your hand on it when it gets, when it gets killed, and it's and then they skin them, and I never understood this before, but they're not allowed to break any bones, right? So that means you have to cook them whole. So they have these poles with a sharp spike at the end, and they put the whole body on these poles, and they raise them up in the air so that they can, pound them onto it. And so when you're standing there with all these poles, like I showed you the poles and the Lachish thing, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing with the sheep on the end. And you're like, oh,
But, I mean, you can imagine you've got these in your house for 4 whole days, okay? You treat them like a pet because it's the first one. And it's a personal experience. But then again, you've got Abraham having to personally give his own son. Doesn't do it, but who does do that for us?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So do the regular Jews during the time of sacrifice, they never broke the bones of lambs?
Apparently not. I mean, the Samaritans do it. Like, for example, the problem with the Judaism side of things, like take Passover, for example, is you have so much rabbinicalism in it that, so if you go to a Seder meal, and you say you read your Exodus story and you go to a Seder meal, you won't have any idea what's going on. You'll have to have a rabbi explain to you what they're doing and why they're doing it. You read your Exodus Passover thing and you go to a Samaritan Passover, you'll know exactly what's going on. They do it exactly to the T. They get the lambs, they pick them out, they take them to their house for 4 days. They bring them down on Passover Eve as the sun's going down. The sun goes down, all the families are together. They put their hands on them. And this was the most powerful thing to me was then right when the sun goes down, they kill the animals, all 54 animals die, and then the whole place, they put blood on their foreheads and on each other. The whole place erupts in celebration. It's such a bizarre thing. You've got 54 animals bleeding all over the place and, doing what bleeding animals do. And you got people just absolutely going berserk with celebration with all these animals dying because it's atonement.
I think they're all here now.
We're all here? Okay, here we go.
So then do they eat them?
And then they roast them in fire. And then they put their cloaks again, they put the hyssop, and they put the blood on their door. They do everything exactly as it says in Scripture. And they have, the Samaritans, according to the Samaritans, they have Aaronic priests. According to Josephus, they have Aaronic priests. And according to the Old Testament, they have Aaronic priests. In other words, they have Aaronic priests.
I think